I just wanted to do some business to learn about entrepreneurship. And then hopefully my goal was like, sort of like Elon Musk had his PayPal, which got him going. And now he has Neuralink and all this cool stuff. Like, I was like, I want to have my PayPal. And then like that will help me fund like Neuralink type of stuff.
Welcome to the Never Employed Chat. My name is Sam, and I interview people who make a living beyond salary jobs, entrepreneurs, business owners, and investors, so that we can learn from their stories together. There are many great ways to make a living, and even more ways to wealth. At Never Employed, we encourage you to think of alternatives to employment jobs. What would you do if a salary job was simply no option? I'm here with Dashiell Bark-Huss. Thank you for taking the time. How are you?
Yeah, thanks for having me here. I'm great.
You're the founder of WishTender, which is a wish list for creators. And we'll like to talk about your journey, your business, and eventually your challenges as well. So you're basically working on WishTender. Do you just want to talk a little about what is WishTender?
Yeah. So WishTender is a wish list for content creators to get gifts from fans. So maybe you've seen like somebody got married and they sent you like an online wedding gift registry, and you can like pick things to buy. So this is kind of similar, but it's meant for creators. And the biggest difference is if you go on a wedding registry, you usually can access the person's like address and their name and phone number and stuff that a content creator wouldn't want. So a content creator like wants to protect all their anonymity because it's like they're dealing with fans and who knows who those fans are. So yeah, we're privacy focused wish list for content creators.
It seems like the privacy focus is a very important point there. You mentioned these wedding wish lists, and I'd say they're also something like Amazon wish lists, for example. What's the difference there?
Yeah, so well, one thing is Amazon isn't totally private. You could finagle your way into finding out who you bought a gift for. It's not like in the UI of Amazon, but like there's a way to do it. But the other difference is like you can only get Amazon stuff on Amazon, and on WishTender you can list Prada, you can list your rent, so you get the cash for everything. It's sort of like GoFundMe. You don't actually get the product, you just get your items funded. So because of that, it's super flexible. Like I have a bacon fund on there that's $100, so my fans will buy me my bacon fund, and then I go to Whole Foods and I put a bunch of bacon in my grocery cart when I go grocery shopping. So you could put like whatever you want, and as long as it's a gift, and so it's more flexible, and it is actually more private than an Amazon wish list.
You're actually then not, or people don't actually buy products for the creators, but they rather fund what they want to buy, what they want to get.
Exactly. And because of that also we have a lot of people who are like $50 tip, or like kind of general funds like self-care fund. But then also like people do put items on there. I always add, the cool thing is like you can put whatever price you want. So like I'll put on some shoes or something and I'll add like $30 to it just to like cover my time of like ordering the shoes and stuff, like and then I sometimes end up like with a little more cash than the shoe cost. So yeah, so it's just super flexible. It just puts everything in the hands of the creator.
Okay. So how does it work in practice then when you say that you can add wishes from wherever you want?
So you can like manually add an item, so you can put a picture, title, whatever, but you could also scrape items, so you can like get a URL from another website, or you can go on websites and put the WishTender button on your browser, and then when you click the button it will just add it to your site. So yeah, there's like a few different ways to do it, whether it's a custom gift, something offline, or if it's already online, it's you just like scrape the item from that site.
Mm-hmm. So does it mean that you also have browser extensions?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a browser extension.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So, and what was your motivation to, or how did you start to build WishTender?
Okay, well, so I always wanted to be some like I was always drawn to like making stuff. I didn't really know what that meant, I guess. And then later in life, I was like, oh, I think what I want to be is an entrepreneur. And so I was when I went to school for fashion design, but I decided that was too hard on my body. And so after college, during college though, I did get interested in lucid dreaming. So that became this like kind of big passion of mine, but I still didn't know what I wanted to do. And I graduated, lived with my parents, and was kind of trying to figure out what I wanted. I tried a few different things, never really had like a real job. I was doing like random jobs at the time too. I was a nude model for painters. So they would like paint naked ladies and I would be that naked lady. So then I got married and was like, okay, me and my spouse both decided that it would be really good for us to live in a van together after we get married. And we lived in a van. And what I really liked about living in the van was it helped me focus and kind of decide what do I really want? Because you're away from all these inputs of the people that you're around normally. You don't have a lot of power. You don't have a lot of internet. So you have to choose what you do really wisely. So I cut down on Facebook and Netflix and all these things. And during the van, I got really disciplined with my time and my use of internet. And I decided that I wanted to pursue lucid dreaming, and I didn't really have any skills that I had. Like I was into video editing, this and that, but like nothing super talented and hard, no super hard skills. So I thought, okay, I think the best skill to learn to bring to the lucid dream world is tech. And if I learn if I learn to code, I can do all sorts of stuff. So I committed to this 100 days of code challenge, and it went on. I did finish the 100 days, and then I continued it for the whole year. And during that year, and this was now, we had already been in the van for like 3 years at this point. So I decided I wanted to move back home and get a tech job and pursue tech. So I thought that in order to one day be a lucid dream tech entrepreneur, I had to first get a tech job because I didn't know anything about companies and how they work. So how could I run a company? And so I went home, started applying, started like exploring applying for jobs, but I started to talk to other tech entrepreneurs and get their advice. And they all said, don't get a tech job because you're not going to learn about entrepreneurship. You're going to learn how to be a tech employee. And you don't want to, you're going to have to start all over again when you become an entrepreneur. So then I was sort of like in this limbo state where I was like, okay, well, now I should just go for it. I should just start some sort of project. And I didn't feel like I had to do a lucid dream business to start. I just wanted to do some business to learn about entrepreneurship. And then hopefully my goal was like, sort of like Elon Musk had his PayPal, which got him going. And now he has Neuralink and all this cool stuff. Like, I was like, I want to have my PayPal. And then like, that will help me fund like Neuralink type of stuff. So I spent a while still kind of learning to code while I was doing all of this. But also thinking about business and thinking about different ideas and trying a few different ideas out. Not really starting different ideas, but coming up with ideas and then doing some research. Like, is this a good idea? Do people want this? And finally, a friend of mine brought up the idea that became WishTender. She wanted me to create a wish list for her that she would just get the money, it would protect her identity, and she would give me 50% of the money. And I thought, that's a lot. If she's willing to give me 50%, I bet there are a lot of people willing to give me like 10%.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked with her about this, and then I got some friends together and we started doing market research on it, and it looked like it was a good idea. So that's what I pursued. And I spent a year building it, which is I don't know if that's probably on the long side, but I still hadn't I still was a real newbie at coding, so it was kind of expected. A lot of people said it was a bad idea to spend a year before you launch, but I had already validated in a way because I'd done market research. So, and I was also learning to code. So I felt like even if I launched it in a year and nothing happened, it was not really a failure because I learned a bunch and it was kind of my education. So that's how I got to the point of launching WishTender. And I'm not even sure what was the original question. I think I answered it, but how did I get into
Yeah.
it?
No,
Oh,
how did, what was your motivation, or what do you,
oh, okay. So my motivation was basically I decided to want to be a lucid dream entrepreneur, and I wanted to get a first project yeah, that didn't have to do with lucid dreaming necessarily, and it doesn't.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. So you're actually still on the way to something
Yeah.
which you actually want to do.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's like a lot of people when I tell them, "Oh, made this business," like, "Wow, that's you succeeded in your goal," and I'm like, "Oh wait, yeah, this is like the first step of my goal," but it's still cool. Like
Yeah.
I really like entrepreneurship. Yeah, so this is like the first step to my long-term goal. But I just, if you like creating businesses, I feel like that's normal. Like you might
Mhm.
create a bunch of them. So I'm very lucky that my first one like took off.
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't really my first one because it's my first tech business. I had sort of done ones before that weren't tech.
Mhm.
Mm.
Okay. So when you, as you said, when you talk with this about people, and when you talk with them about your numbers, the numbers of your business, they might be impressed, and probably they're also yeah, that's why many people eventually also think, yeah, nice, you reach your goals probably, but does it feel for you like reaching goals, or how does it feel for you?
It does feel like there's still other stuff I want to do, but it does feel like because it does feel like I reached a big plate, like a really high level because it was something like 2 years ago that I didn't know if it was possible for me to be like a successful entrepreneur. And I don't want to rush into that because there's all these things that can happen that can like close down my business. So like if it's really successful right now, it's like it could close, whatever. There's all sorts of things that could happen. Um but yeah, I know it does feel like a huge thing. Um and but there's just like all this other stuff that is like this long-term goals that I want to do. But I feel like in a very different position than I was like a year or two ago, where I felt like I really don't know if I know what I'm doing. I don't know if I can do this. And now I feel like so much more confident to pursue these other goals that I want to do.
Hmm.
Mm.
So yeah, you also said that WishTender is very young business. How do you think about this point?
Yeah, we haven't had like a real year past. We've done a year
Hmm.
already. Um it's August 29th and July 4th was our anniversary after launch. But that so much of that first year was so slow that it didn't really give us an idea of what a whole year would be like. We haven't done a real like tax year basically. Our
Hmm.
taxes were so small last year that if we did them wrong, nobody cares because
Yeah.
we made $74 anyways. So like it doesn't matter. But now we're heading into like this full year where there's all these challenges that we'll have to face. And like our payment processor could just shut us down and like that would kind of ruin everything. There's all sorts of things that can happen that
Hmm.
uh that we're reliant on, and without having some stability, it's still kind of uncertain that if we'll just not be operating in a month or something. I mean, I don't think that will happen, but it's a possibility something like that could happen this early on.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay. So therefore you probably don't have like solid exit plans or something like this, or do you?
Like if we can't do WishTender, or if something happens that would drastically change WishTender, do you mean?
No, rather something like when you say that your actual plan is to focus on bigger projects, um, you could also think in terms of, oh, okay, now I have this business, and maybe I could sell it to have a basis
Oh,
to yeah, fund other projects.
yeah, no, I don't have like a solid exit plan, but it's either that we're going to sell it one day, or we're going to automate it, like try to automate it as much as possible, or outsource it as much as possible so I can move on to the next thing. Yeah. But it's very fun right now, and it's surrounded by this like huge community and a lot of people who are big fans of it. Which is really nice because you get I get a lot of validation. I also get a lot of hate, but I get a lot of validation too. And so I don't know if other companies experience this, like there's a big like fanfare around WishTender. And whenever I'm having like a bad day and somebody messages me like, your app is amazing, I appreciate you so much. Like that's so helpful. So it's not like, so it was kind of draining in the beginning when I didn't have that. And it's like I'm working on something that's not a passion of mine. Um but once I started getting more validation from users and like love from users, it became less draining and it helped. So I don't know how long exactly I'll be working on it. Yeah, but I also enjoy, I just like enjoy building it, and I enjoy dealing with my customers, and yeah.
When you talk about the community, so you've also spent a lot of work to build this community and this culture somehow, right? So I read that you've also been doing a lot of outreach and email marketing in the beginning. How was that, or how does this affect the community today?
Yeah, it was Twitter. It was cold reach, but it was Twitter, not
Okay.
but yeah, that we don't do DMing anymore because it just it was really good in the beginning. It's a really good way to grow because it's free. You can do a lot of people in one day. You can also get some programs that help you automate it. And but we like what real so that got people to pay attention. I think what got like the fanfare was we were doing things really different than most companies. I think we were taking a lot of like risks that most companies don't want to take for their customers. So I put my face on the company. I'm super transparent. I post our numbers like every month.
Okay.
I post our struggles. I put my like cell phone number on the website. We're super easy to reach. You can reach us on the chat on the site. You can, and it's just two of us. It's me and my spouse. He started working on it with me after I launched it. And or he was working on it a little bit before too, helping with marketing or market research. But so I think it's just, we went the extra mile and like did stuff that doesn't scale. We would get on calls with customers, and people will do that. Other companies will get on calls with customers, but usually not companies like my company, where each customer makes you very small, like it's a very small, I think it's called like LTV. I don't know those words so much, but per customer, how much money do you make? If you if you make a lot of money per customer, those companies will get on calls. But
Yeah.
like Fiverr, YouTube, like they're not getting on calls. But we did that. And we did Zoom calls, we answered questions, we did like really custom stuff for people in the beginning. And people they're like, wow, this company's like, they care. So they notice that kind of stuff. And also our users, a lot of them are in the adult content space, and they especially don't get that kind of treatment because people are kind of scared to associate them for whatever reason, whether it's a personal reason or that they don't want the companies that they're partnering with to know.
Yeah.
A lot of reasons, but most companies that pop up that deal with adult content creators, there's no face on it. And we were like, no, this is who I am, and I'm acknowledging that and we know we're working with you. We also post about, like, we know that we're working with adult content creators. We make memes for them. Other companies, if they do have adult content creators, they usually hide it. They're like, we're working with Twitch, gamers. Like, most of your customers are actually adult content creators, and you just don't want anybody to know for some reason.
Yeah.
And they're like really annoying to adult content creators. It's like, you're pretending like we're not making you a bunch of money, and we are. So yeah, that's just like treating it like you really care. People notice, and they get excited, and they want to support businesses like that.
So do you then also try to focus more and do more marketing towards that topic, if this is where you have good customers?
With adult content? Yeah, and we cater to them with our features too, because they need different features than somebody who is making vanilla content, especially like Buy Me a Coffee. They're pretty similar to us. They have a different market. They're not doing adult content creators, so their features are totally different. They don't need like the same kind of privacy we need. They don't need to help with like issues like chargebacks, because if you're just buying a gift for an adult content creator, like there's people who are like married and their wife sees it and they're like, what's this? And they're like, I don't know what that is. I guess we got to charge it back. Like, stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Is not happening on other. So it's a totally different mindset to work for, who your customers makes a big difference in what your product looks like. And so we're catering everything to what adult content creators need, and we're very open about that. And yeah, we've had people who are like, who want to use us, and they'll be like, I'm really uncomfortable that you have adult content creators on your site, and you should get rid of them and whatever. And it's like, well, there's other, first of all, they make us money, and this is our job, is to make this product for them. And if you're uncomfortable with it, there's other, I don't care about losing that business, because there's other businesses that are made for you, and this is not made for you, and that's fine. But focusing on that niche, I think that's what indie hackers really need to do, is like, they need to really take a niche seriously.
I think that's a good idea. Probably that's also why this cold outreach was so important for you in the beginning, right?
Yeah, like we were DMing all sorts of content creators, but but that helped us see who was responding to it. When we saw people being like, this is great, and it kept coming from a specific niche in the adult world, it's like, okay, these people, this is our niche. And I saw that Twitch streamers were like, oh, this is cool, but like not really, and there's other options, and like, okay, so this is not so much for Twitch streamers, although we do get Twitch streamers who do end up using it, but it's more adult content creators. So that can help you not only reach people, but like pay attention to who's reacting, who likes this,
And earlier you talked about the shares, or you told that the friend who had the original idea would share like 50%. How's that today? What's the ratio you share?
So with the content creators, is that what you're asking? Or with so whatever you list, you get. So unless there's a currency conversion, but like, if you list a $50 purse, you get $50, but your customer, your fan is charged 10% on top of that, which ends up being like 9% of the total. So like 9%.
Are you still working on other projects? Do you have the time, or how much time does WishTender as a business take for you?
In the beginning, I worked on it like 24/7. Well, not 24/7, I slept, but I worked on it every day of the week. And then when my spouse joined, he is we're both Jewish, but he's like somewhat more spiritual than me. And there's in Judaism, you're not supposed to work on Friday night to Saturday night. And he was getting into this spiritual stuff, and he's like, let's take off one Saturday. And so we did, and we did really well. And he got me superstitious about it. He's like, see, when we do, and then we the next week we did work and we did poorly. So he was like, so now I got superstitious. I'm like, okay, fine, we won't work on Saturdays, but it's a good thing, I think, to take a day off. So I work day to night pretty much. But I take a slow day, I exercise, I eat, I cook all my food. But I do work day to night, and I take off Friday night to Saturday. And on Friday to Saturday night, I work on other projects, lucid dream projects. So I have some side stuff going on there. There's been some points where I've been able to work on it also at night, like take an hour every night to work on a side project. But yeah, it gets busy, but it doesn't feel too stressful or anything like that.
It sounds a little bit like when you take time off, then you actually take time off to work on other projects, which are going to be businesses in the future.
Yeah.
That does it feel like, yeah, working on a business, or that does it feel like work then? Or is it more that you really take time off and that you enjoy it so much that you feel relaxed and recovered?
Yeah, it's interesting. I enjoy it. I do also do like I take a slow Saturday is slow. My parents have friends over. I live in my parents' house, and so I'll go upstairs and I'll hang out with them a little bit. And like if we have other plans, I won't work. But if I'm not doing anything else, like and there's nothing to do, I work on lucid dream stuff. I might also opt out of going to like a party because I want to work on lucid dream stuff because I just like it. I do think I sit at the desk too much though. Like I do work out every day, but like it's more the posture. Like I feel tension. So that sometimes I'm like, oh, it would be good to have, it might be healthy to have like a hobby that requires like more movement, like dancing or something. But I don't know. I like it. So for now, it's good the way it is.
When you work during the weekdays, do you have a certain schedule or plan for the days, or how is that? Is it always the same, or do you just respond to customers all the day?
It's a kind of a combination. Like I have a schedule of usually I wake up, I look to see if anything, is going crazy with WishTender, if anything needs like immediate attention. And then I'll go eat a smoothie in the sun. I take the morning kind of slow. Like I eat a smoothie outside. I go work out. I work out at home or at my neighbors, so I don't have to go very far. And then my day starts after that sort of, but I kind of change it up. It's not soup. Mondays, I keep all my meetings to Mondays, which is nice. Although I kind of make I don't follow that super closely. I'm pretty flexible, but the more I have to deal with like other people, the more I need to get organized. So usually I don't have to deal like it just customers I have to deal with. But if I have to deal with like talking to partners or contractors, something like potential partners, like that's when my days get stricter. Like there was a time when I was looking to maybe switch to a different payment processor, and we were meeting with all these payment processors, and my day had to get stricter because I couldn't really like do whatever I wanted. I had to schedule meetings. But if I don't have to schedule meetings, I just go with what seems to be the most important, because I might have a plan to add a feature one day, but something goes wrong and that needs my attention. That's usually what happens. Something goes wrong and it needs my attention. So I kind of, I don't know how most people deal with that when they're not like working on a really small team. I think that'd be hard to do that on a small team too. deal with things that are coming at you and things that you've planned to do. But like it sounds hard to do in a big team, but yeah, I do it very intuitively, I would say. And my day, yeah, and then I also schedule in, like, I walk every day with my spouse, and I cook dinner every day. So it's a very, like, even though I'm working all day, it's not like I'm moving and I'm inhaling a bagel and then moving to the next thing. Like, I work a lot, but I also, have like a nice pace, I think, yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like you have several breaks over the day. So not that you work like a usual 9 to 5 job, but rather like you start early in the morning, or I don't know how early, but then that
I wake up late.
you wake
I
up
go to bed
early?
a little late. I wake up late, go to bed late. I always try to
Okay.
fix it, but it always goes back to late. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
still work late, like, but I think my sleep schedule is just, it always goes back to that. Yeah. Sorry. So go ahead.
Yeah, but then you just have more breaks and eventually also longer breaks over the day.
Yeah. Yeah. So I
And
work a lot, but it's just, yeah, I tried to like recover from all that work. Yeah.
and is this flexibility for you also a crucial part why you decided to become an entrepreneur and build your own business, and especially build your own business with tech?
Yeah, I think so. It just felt like it made sense for me to be able to tech makes things really flexible, because like I can work from home. I can make everything. It doesn't require me going to an investor and asking for like money. I mean, people do that, but I don't think it's so super necessary when you're just doing software. Because I could just do most everything myself, and I'm not very experienced. Although I do need to start, that's my next step, is to start outsourcing more things. But like, yeah, you can just get started. You can do things when you want. You can and then as an entrepreneur, it's like, yeah, I have control of everything. I'm responsible for everything, but I have control of everything. Yeah, I like that flexibility. I could just wake up, and it's a global company, like, as in our customers are all over the world. So I don't have to worry about like getting up at 8 a.m., 7 a.m., whatever. I could sleep whenever I want, and which is good, because I've always had issues with I've always had like this delayed sleep schedule. And that's actually, there's a community of people with delayed sleep schedules who can't work because they can't get up at 7, but yeah, I don't know if I've tried it. It's hard to fix it. It fixes itself. When I lived in the van, it got better, because you're not dealing with all this fake light everywhere. Fake light and just the lifestyle. It's hard for me to go to sleep earlier.
Would you have been able to build something like WishTender or your own tech business in parallel to a full-time employment?
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. I personally don't think I would have done well with that, because it took me a year to build. And I mean, if I was doing a tech job and I was kind of learning things there that's related, or if I was doing a job that maybe helped in some way, it might be useful, because I could have gone to my coworkers and asked them questions that may have sped some things up. But I think it would have been really difficult, especially like when I am so much more tired when I'm doing something that somebody else told me to do. And at the end of a workday, I probably would have been like, I don't want to do anything else. I just want to like sleep or chill. I think it would have been difficult. I think it's a lot better to just really minimize your expenses. I did have savings, but we lived in a van, and then also now we live in my parents' house. Before that, I lived in my cousin's storage closet, and it looked really nice here, but it was also like they redid it recently. But my parents' basement was, it was like a real basement before, and it was stinky and had cat pee everywhere, and there was stuff. So like I didn't. Now I'm lucky because it's really nice now. But I didn't care about having nice things. I was like, I'm going to spend as little as possible and elongate my runway as much as possible, because it is. I think it'd be difficult to do this while having a full-time job.
Yeah, I agree, and that's why I also hear from lots of people, especially young people who start to get their first jobs, that on one hand that they're very busy with their jobs and that they don't have the energy to work on their own projects after they're done with their jobs for the day, and on the other hand that people, their peers, and many of those young people who start to work salary jobs, that they increase their expenses drastically.
Oh yeah, lifestyle inflation is what I've called.
Yeah, I didn't know that term, but yeah, that probably fits very well. So that's probably good advice for people who just start out.
I agree with that. Like, and people will they'll like push you to try to get a regular job. And I think you need to, really think about that, because they don't understand. Like, a lot of people were really critical in my life about me not getting a real job, and now they're all jealous of me.
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't have to. I think it can be, if you start getting a real, like, you can get caught up in a whole different, a better option might be like freelancing or something like that, where you're not getting too committed to some job.
Yeah, I agree. So, do you have some advice which you could give to young people who start their own business?
Yeah, there's a few things. One thing is, I think consistency and patience is really important. And when you're younger, that's something you really have to work on. I was kind of lazy when I was younger, and, would watch a lot of like Netflix or whatever. I had to figure out how to get out of that habit, because it was watching shows was like a way to avoid the hard work that I felt like I had to do. And it became like kind of addicting. I think people don't realize how addicting, like media can be. There's a good book about consistency and thinking really long term, and the book is called The Slight Edge, and I read that, and that kind of changed my life, that book. Yeah, and you have to follow it for it to change your life, though. But I took things slowly, one day at a time, and just added on, be more disciplined every day. And until I liked working, like until I enjoyed it more than watching Netflix. And then the other thing that I would say is, when you're young, you're going to have a lot of people who tell you what to do, and you are going to, maybe like me, automatically think they're right because they're older, and that's often not true. Also, where are they now? Where are the people? Just because they're older, are they doing what you want to do? And even if they are doing what you want to do, did they just get lucky? Because I'm giving all this advice, but I've only done one business. All my advice could be wrong because I could have got lucky with one business. So think about who's giving you the advice. I feel like the most experienced and the most successful people, a lot of their advice will be kind of vague, because they know that anything can get you there and anything can fail you. Like, when I ask someone who's very early, like they're pre-launch and they're making an indie business, they have a lot of opinions. Don't do this. You did this wrong. Da, 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 da. If I ask somebody who's on their second successful startup, they'll be like, oh yeah, try this. You'll figure it out. Like, so I think a lot of hard advice is wrong, and nobody knows what you're doing as much as you. You're the expert on where you're headed, what your business is. So just remember that you're not like on this, you don't know nothing because you're younger. And a lot of times your instincts are better than the people who seem like they have it all together. I'm like way farther ahead than some of these people that seemed like they were like way ahead of me. They were giving me advice. It was not good advice. And now I'm way ahead of them and they're struggling. So things can change really fast. Don't think somebody knows everything and knows more than you just because they seem like they're ahead of you.
That's really a lot of great advice, quite unbiased also, quite open-minded. And I think that's really cool.
Thanks. Yeah.
So to wrap this up, how could people eventually support you? Do you have some very certain problem where people may support you somehow?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I always like to chat with them if there's any developers that like on my Twitter. If you want to connect on Twitter, you can follow my journey there also. It's at @Bark-Huss. But a lot of times people will help me in my DMs and with coding problems or anything. I like just talking to people and about all sorts of issues, and people are really helpful. Actually, yeah, that's another thing. If you networking is a good idea for a young person, and you'll find a lot of people who want to help you. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter.
Perfect, cool. Then thank you again so much for taking the time.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you for taking part in this Never Employed Chat. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for more interviews with business owners and investors, or simply listen to the audio version in your favorite podcast directory. Make sure to follow me on all your preferred social media platforms, so that you never miss life-changing business tips. You find me on every platform with the account name samhartmann.com. Start a business, become successful, and tell me about it. See you next time.